Many people, when they come to the Old Testament, think they struggle with what God is like and how he appears to interact with his people. Chapter 10, verses 1 and 2 in Leviticus may have been challenging to us. Aaron's sons Nadab and Abihu took their censers, put fire in them, and added incense, and they offered unauthorized fire before the Lord, contrary to his command. So fire came out from the presence of the Lord and consumed them, and they died before the Lord. That sounds a little bit harsh, doesn't it? What is this kind of thing from God that we find? It feels a little bit like he's kind of lashing out, like like a father at the dinner table, kind of getting really furious because somebody's used the wrong fork in the mealtime or something. Well, actually, the reason that kind of behaviour at the dinner table by a father or a mother or whatever is a problem is that we are not God. And it's not that God is capricious or he's fly off the handle or he's unreasonable or he's just random in the way that he behaves, but he is holy. And the book of Leviticus is all about how a holy God can come and dwell among his people. Chapters 1 to 7 kind of gave us an introduction to the sacrifices which need to go on. Chapters 8 to 10 focus on the priests and their role, and they get ordained and then they start to serve. Chapter 10 verse 10 that we read this morning, it was chapters 9 and 10 in our readings this morning. Chapter 10 verse 10 is a key verse for the whole book. You must distinguish between the holy and the common, between the unclean and the clean, and you must teach the Israelites all the decrees that the Lord has given them through Moses. That then sets the scene for the rest of the book. Chapters 11 to 15 are going to be about clean and unclean things. Chapters 17 to 27 are going to be about holy and common things. And in the middle is chapter 16, the Day of Atonement. Now, we'll come to all those things. But what's the point of all this? The point of this is to see how a holy God can say simultaneously, stay away from me because I'm holy, and yet come near. And both of those things are part of his holiness. Stay away, come near. We tend to be one or the other. You know, people are either kind of distant and reserved, and we're pushing people away, or we are warm and relational. We're saying, come near. And God is both. God is awesome and majestic and powerful. He's the sovereign God of the universe. He's like the sun in which wax will just melt if wax gets into the presence of the sun. We're like that before God. And yet he is also relational and personal and knowable. And he has created us to know him and be in relationship with him. And we just finite, weak, even sinful creatures, he wants to be in relationship with us. And Leviticus, and in fact the whole of the Old Testament really is kind of bringing those two things together. Without Leviticus and without this view of God, we will tend to reduce the gospel to kind of, well, Jesus is my friend and he helps me when I'm in trouble, and we forget who God is and what an awesome privilege it is to come into his presence, to know him through Jesus, to be in his presence and not die, to be in his presence and enjoy him. So these priests, chapter 10, these priests who are the sons of Aaron, who kind of didn't take God seriously. They've been given this specific job to do, and they didn't take him seriously, and they died. And there's lots of examples of that through the Old Testament, of people who don't take God seriously and they die. And it's a kind of warning to us: take God seriously. He is not. It's like C.S. Lewis in the Narnia books with Aslan. Is he safe, this lion? No, he's not safe. He's a lion, but he is good, and you can trust him. He wants you to be in relationship with him. And God is like that. It's awesome when we stop and think about who he is. And yet the book of Leviticus is saying, God wants to dwell among his people. Here are all the things that are going to be necessary for that to happen. And we know as Christians they've been fulfilled in Jesus. So come to God through Jesus and know him today and enjoy the relationship that he calls us into, and that one day we will enjoy face to face with him. That's our thought for the day. Do subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't done that yet. And if we can get to 100 subscribers, then I think YouTube will start paying more attention to us. And hopefully these videos are helpful. Do share and like them and all that kind of thing. And see you soon.